I'm Cassandra Morris, 34 years old. Until last month, I was the CEO of Meta NC, a healthcare software company that I built from nothing into a $200 million enterprise. A decade of my life, countless sleepless nights, and every ounce of my creativity went into that company. Then, my parents handed it all to my sister Diana on a silver platter. My father looked me straight in the eye and said, "She is CEO now. You were just the builder." I did not argue. Instead, I made one phone call. Before I tell you how I made my parents pale with just one phone call, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from and subscribe if you have ever been underestimated by family. Growing up in the Morris household meant understanding your place early on. I was the practical, hardworking daughter, the one who fixed things, solved problems, and stayed up late studying. My sister Diana, 2 years younger, was the charming social butterfly who could walk into a room and immediately become the center of attention. Our parents, George and Eleanor Morris, never tried to hide their preference. Diana was their golden child. Despite her inconsistent grades and tendency to abandon projects halfway through, I discovered my passion for technology. When I was 12, after my uncle gave me his old desktop computer, while other kids were playing outside, I was teaching myself how to code, fascinated by the logic and possibilities. By 16, I had built my first simple application, a program that helped my dad track inventory for his small office supply business. He used it for about a month before switching back to his paper system, saying computers were just a fad. Diana got a car for her 16th birthday. I got a new calculator. College was my escape. I studied computer science at Boston University, working part-time at the campus IT department to help with expenses. My parents helped with tuition but made it clear that my computer hobby seemed impractical. Meanwhile, they fully funded Diana's business administration degree at NYU, complete with a Manhattan apartment. During my junior year, I interned at a local hospital and witnessed firsthand the nightmare of their outdated patient management system. Doctors and nurses wasted precious hours on paperwork and disjointed software that could not communicate between departments. That summer, I started sketching out what would eventually become Medicine, an integrated healthcare management platform that could streamline everything from patient intake to billing. After graduation, I moved into a tiny garage apartment and took a day job as a programmer at a small tech firm, while spending nights and weekends developing my prototype. I failed repeatedly. My first version was too complicated. The second crashed under any significant data load. The third was better but lacked key features hospitals needed. Each failure taught me something valuable. The breakthrough came 18 months later when I met Dr. Rachel Goldstein, an emergency room physician frustrated by the same problems I was trying to solve. She became my first advisor, helping me understand the practical needs of healthcare providers. With her guidance, I rebuilt the platform from scratch with a user-friendly interface that medical professionals could actually navigate efficiently. I officially founded Meta NC Incorporated in my tiny apartment, using my life savings of $15,000. My parents reluctantly invested another $10,000, but only after Diana suggested it might be a good learning experience even if it failed. They made it clear they expected to lose the money but wanted to support my phase before I got a real job. What they did not understand was that I was not building just another app. I was creating an entire ecosystem that would transform healthcare administration. My parents attended the small launch party I held at a local restaurant. They smiled for photos and made polite conversation with my 2 newly hired employees. But I overheard my father telling a family friend that he was humoring me until I got this out of my system. Diana showed up an hour late, complained about the wine selection, then left early for a party across town. None of them saw what I was really building. None of them understood the vision. But I did not need them to understand. I just needed to prove them wrong. The first major breakthrough came 18 months after launch when Boston Memorial Hospital agreed to pilot Medinc in their emergency department. Dr. Goldstein, who had taken a position there, had advocated tirelessly on my behalf. The night before implementation, I stayed at the hospital until 4 in the morning, personally ensuring every detail was perfect. When the system went live and successfully processed 143 patients in the first 24 hours without a single glitch, the hospital administrator called it revolutionary. Word spread quickly in the healthcare community. The next 3 years were a blur of 18-hour days. I coded until my vision blurred, redesigned interfaces based on user feedback, and personally handled customer support calls. I rented a small office space and expanded from 2 employees to 15, then 30. Every time we added a new feature or landed a new client, I felt a surge of validation. This was not just a company. It was proof that I had been right all along. By year 4, Medicine had expanded to serve 27 hospitals across the Northeast. Our valuation hit $10 million, and I had to make a crucial decision about outside investment. Several venture capital firms were circling, offering significant funding in exchange for partial control. After careful consideration, I accepted a $5 million investment from health tech partners, but structured the deal to ensure I maintained majority ownership and decision-making authority. The company was my baby, and I was not willing to lose control of its direction. As we approached the $50 million valuation mark, industry recognition began pouring in. I was named Healthcare Innovator of the Year by Tech Forward magazine and invited to speak at major healthcare conferences. Competitors started offering to buy us out, one with an offer of $70 million that my parents thought I was crazy to refuse. What they did not understand was that the technology we were developing was worth far more than that, and our growth trajectory was just beginning. The company's success transformed my life in ways I had never imagined. I moved from my tiny apartment to a modest house, though I rarely spent time there. I hired a personal assistant to help manage my increasingly complex schedule. I was interviewed by major business publications and featured on lists of entrepreneurs to watch. Through it all, I remained focused on continually improving our product and expanding our reach. My parents finally began to grasp the magnitude of what I had built when I was featured on the cover of Business Innovators magazine. Suddenly, they wanted to attend company events and meet my executive team. My father started introducing me as my daughter, the CEO at their country club. My mother framed the magazine cover and hung it in their living room. Diana, who had bounced between marketing jobs at various companies, suddenly developed an intense interest in the family business, though she had shown no interest during the difficult early years. I welcomed their newfound support, though part of me remained wary. Where had this enthusiasm been when I was working out of a garage apartment surviving on ramen noodles and coffee? Still, I wanted to believe that they were finally seeing me for who I was and what I had accomplished. I invited them to company milestones and kept them informed about our growth. I wanted to share my success with them to make them proud. As MediNC approached its 7th year, we rolled out our most ambitious expansion yet. An artificial intelligence-driven diagnostic support system that could analyze patient symptoms and medical history to help doctors identify potential conditions they might otherwise overlook. The system was my personal project, something I had coded late at night after handling my CEO responsibilities during the day. When we unveiled it at the National Healthcare Technology Conference, we received a standing ovation. 3 major hospital networks signed contracts that week. Our valuation soared past $100 million, then $150 million, then $200 million. We now employed over 200 people across 3 offices. I had built something extraordinary, something that was genuinely improving healthcare outcomes, while also creating wealth and opportunities for everyone involved. I had done what everyone said was impossible. I should have been celebrating. Instead, I was about to face the greatest betrayal of my life from the people who should have been my biggest supporters. The shift in family dynamics was subtle at first. Diana began asking more detailed questions about the business during family dinners. She would casually mention articles she had read about healthcare technology or name-drop executives from other companies she had bumped into at social events. My parents encouraged these conversations, nodding approvingly when Diana offered her opinions on Medicine's marketing strategy or suggested new features we should consider. "You know, Cassie," my mother said during one Sunday dinner, "Diana has such a good sense for the business side of things. You two would make such a good team if you could find a role for her at the company." I nearly choked on my wine. Diana had a business degree, yes, but her actual work experience consisted of 3 marketing jobs, none of which she had kept for more than 18 months. She knew nothing about healthcare software development or the complex regulatory environment we operated in. "We already have a CMO," I said carefully, "but I will let you know if any suitable positions open up." Diana pouted, and my father frowned. "Family should support family," he said. "Diana has connections that could be valuable to you." To keep the peace, I eventually created a position for Diana as our Director of Strategic Partnerships, a role with a generous salary but limited actual responsibility. I assigned her to work with our experienced business development team, hoping she would learn the ropes before attempting to take on anything critical. Within weeks, I started receiving concerned emails from my executive team. Diana was scheduling meetings with potential clients without briefing herself on our products. She was making promises about features that did not exist or would be impossible to implement. She was consistently late, left early, and spent most of her time in the office chatting rather than working. Worst of all, she was telling people she was being groomed to take over the family business. When I confronted her privately about these issues, she burst into tears. "You have always been jealous of me," she sobbed. "Now that I am finally finding my place in the business world, you want to hold me back. Mom and Dad were right. You are so possessive about your company that you cannot stand to share the spotlight." I was dumbfounded. "Diana, this is not about the spotlight. This is about the 200 people who depend on this company for their livelihoods and the hospitals that depend on our